I still remember the exact sound of my name echoing through that huge hall. Emma Carter. The microphone made it ring across the room like it was supposed to mean everything. Like this was the big finish. Years of staying up late. Years of working extra shifts. Years of telling myself, it's okay, they're tired now, but they'll be there on your graduation day. They'll be proud then. I walked across that stage in my rented gown and stiff shoes, trying not to trip, trying to smile for the camera I knew was pointed my way. And when I looked up into the crowd, into all those faces and colors and cheering people, I searched for the ones that mattered most. I didn't see my mom's tearful eyes. I didn't see my dad's wide, awkward smile. I didn't see my brother, who had promised he'd try like crazy to be there. What I saw instead was one familiar face behind a small camera. My uncle. Just him. He lifted his free hand and waved like this was some sweet little moment we'd both laugh about one day. Like this lonely walk was a cute story. I tried to smile back. My chest burned so hard it felt like something inside me cracked. I grabbed that fake diploma with both hands, like maybe it could make up for the empty seats. Like maybe it could fill the space where my family should have been sitting. There was a girl in front of me who spotted her dad in the crowd and just burst into tears, laughing as she ran down the stairs, arms wide open. The whole row of people around him cheered, phones out, flash after flash. I kept walking straight ahead, because there was no one for me to run to. I heard people clapping and cheering, but it all sounded distant, muffled, like I was underwater. I left the stage and followed the line of graduates back to our seats. Everyone around me was buzzing, whispering, giggling, looking up to wave at their families. I sat down, my heart pounding in my ears. Where were they? I tried so hard to calm myself down. Maybe the traffic was bad. Maybe my dad couldn't find parking. Maybe my mom's shift ran late. Maybe my brother's bass changed his leave at the last second. I stacked excuse on top of excuse until they started to wobble. And then I heard the one voice I half expected, half dreaded. There she is, our star! My uncle's voice cut through the noise. When I turned, he was already raising the camera, zooming in on my face. He walked quickly down the side of the seating rows, still filming, his smile wide and bright. He pushed the lens close, making me feel like I was being inspected. How does it feel? He said in his usual teasing tone, to be the only graduate with 0 guests. Come on, Em, say something to the camera. My whole body went cold. He said it like a joke, like a line. Stop, I muttered, reaching out and gently pushing the camera down. Please don't. He pulled it back up, laughing softly. Relax, it's just a joke. For memories. You'll want to remember this one day. For what? I asked, my voice already shaking. Where are they? Where's Mom? Where's Dad? Where's Josh? You said they knew the date. You said... It's complicated. He cut in quickly. We'll talk about it later. Just give me a smile, all right? They're going to want to see this. That sentence. They're going to want to see this. I forced my mouth to move. I bent my lips into something that looked like a smile, but it felt wrong. It felt like my face didn't belong to me anymore. Inside, something ugly settled in my chest. One thought, clear as a knife. What if they just didn't want to come? He walked backward in front of me, holding the camera up like he was hosting a show. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, half under his breath, half to the lens, this is what hard work looks like. Our graduate, Emma Carter, with absolutely no one here. Uncle Daniel, stop, I hissed. He finally lowered the camera a little, studying me, like he was checking if I was going to cry. I could almost see the gears turning behind his eyes. Cry on camera or cry off camera. Which one is better? You'll thank me later, he said quietly. Trust me, one day you'll be glad I got all of this. At that moment, I had no idea how twistedly true that would be. One day, I actually would be glad he recorded it. Not because of nostalgia, not because I wanted to relive that awful day, but because that video, that shaky, cruel footage, was the first thread I would pull that would reveal everything that had been wrong for years. The truth about my uncle, the truth about my parents, the truth about why no one was there. And in the end, it would be the same camera he hid behind that I would turn back on him. Because you can only humiliate someone for so long before they learn how to aim the lens themselves. To understand why those empty chairs hurt so badly, you have to know what came before them. I didn't grow up in some perfect, close, hugging everyday kind of family. My parents, Mark and Linda, were always busy. always. My dad worked late at a car dealership. Most nights he came home smelling like tires and cheap cologne, shoulders slumped from pretending to be friendly to strangers all day. My mom worked nights as a nurse, exhausted in a different way, her face lined from dealing with sick people and rude families. My older brother Josh left for the military when I was 15. One day he was there, throwing a football in the yard, complaining about chores. The next, he was just gone. A uniform and a schedule and short, careful calls from somewhere far away. So most of the time, it was just me, a quiet house, and my homework. The one person who showed up the most? My uncle, my dad's older brother, Daniel Carter. He never married. He never had kids. He did odd jobs. That was his favorite phrase. He mowed lawns, helped people move, cleaned basements. Later, he got into content, as he liked to say, walking around with that camera like it was part of his body, always hoping the internet would care. When I was younger, I adored him. He would show up with takeout when my parents were working late. "Your parents work too much," he'd say, handing me greasy bags. "Come on, kiddo, let's feed you something that didn't come from a microwave." We'd sit on the couch and eat fries and cheap burgers, watching reality shows. He'd make jokes about the people on screen. "Look at this," he'd say, pointing with a fry. "They'll film anything if it gets a reaction. Drama, tears, someone getting embarrassed. People eat it up. A camera just wants a story, that's all." Back then, it sounded harmless. As I got older, the jokes shifted a little. "Your parents missed another award thing?" he'd ask. "And they didn't even call? Wow. If I was your dad, I'd be camping outside your school so I didn't miss a single day like that." He said it like he was on my side, like he was the only one who truly saw me, and I believed him. Every missed game, every forgotten open house or parent-teacher meeting, he was there afterward. "They're busy," he'd say, putting a hand on my shoulder. "You and me, we're the ones that get overlooked. But hey, at least you've got me, right?" At least you've got me. It sounded like comfort. Later, it would sound like a warning. He was the one I vented to. I told him how it felt when I was the only kid without a parent in the audience. I told him how I dreamed of being the first in my family to finish college. How I pictured walking across a big stage, hearing my family scream my name, seeing their faces lit up with pride. He always said the same type of thing. "Just wait," he'd promise. "One big moment and they'll finally realize what they've been missing." That's how family is. They only wake up when it's almost too late. He saw the cracks between me and my parents long before I did. Or maybe he helped open them. Sometimes I think it was both. By the time I finished high school, my parents felt like two tired strangers who happened to live in the same house. They cared in their way, but life had worn them down. Arguments about bills grew louder. Stress hung in the air like fog. One night, I heard my mom snap at my dad in the kitchen. "Maybe if you didn't lend your brother money all the time, we wouldn't be in this mess," she said. I had almost stepped in, but I froze in the hallway. That was when I realized my uncle wasn't just the fun, goofy guy he was with me. He was a weight on my parents, too. A constant problem they kept trying to fix. But he was good at flipping things. Good at making every favor he got sound like something he earned. Good at making people feel like they owed him. When I got into college through a mix of loans, scholarships, and miracles, he was the loudest one celebrating. "First Carter to do it right," he shouted, actually lifting me off the ground. "You're going to walk across that stage one day, and I'm going to be right there, front row, yelling my head off. Everyone's going to hear me." I wanted so badly to believe him. College was hard. Not cute movie hard, real hard. Long assignments, long shifts at a coffee shop, falling asleep with books open on my chest. I didn't party much. I didn't date much. I just worked. I kept telling myself, this is for something. This is going to mean something. My parents texted when they could. "Proud of you. Work's crazy. Sorry we don't call more. Love you." From my mom. "Keep going, Em. You're tougher than we ever were." From my dad. Josh would write, "Save me a seat at graduation. I'll try like crazy to make it." And my uncle? "Got a new camera," he wrote once. "Graduation video is going to be legendary." He came to campus more than anyone else. Sometimes I loved it. Sometimes it felt strange. "Let's film a day in the life of a broke college student," he'd say, sticking the camera in my face while I made instant noodles. "Let's show the world the grind. People love that." He always framed it like he was doing me this big favor, helping me build a brand. But after a while, I noticed a pattern. The shots he liked best were the sad ones. Me counting change, me looking tired, me sitting alone at the library at midnight. Sad cells, he told me once, casually, scrolling on his phone. People like to see real pain. Makes them feel seen. I laughed at the time, thinking it was just his weird sense of humor. I shouldn't have laughed. As graduation got closer, I made a family group chat. I sent the date, the time, the building, the parking directions. I reminded them again and again. My mom texted back a little heart. My dad wrote, "Wouldn't miss it for the world." Josh said, "If there's any way humanly possible, I'll be there." And Uncle Daniel wrote, "I'll be there early, bringing the good camera. This is it, Emmy." I lay in bed that night clutching my phone, reading those messages over and over. In my head, I could already see it. My mom in the front row, crying and laughing at the same time. My dad standing up to clap. My brother appearing in uniform, maybe surprising me. And my uncle, somewhere off to the side, filming it all. I had no idea he had a completely different picture in mind. The morning of graduation, I woke up before my alarm, heart already racing like I'd been running. I checked my phone, a message from my mom around dawn. "Leaving soon, so proud of you. See you there." From my dad, "Got the suit on, you better cry when you see it, these pants barely fit." Nothing from Josh yet, but that didn't shock me. Time zones, restrictions, military stuff. I told myself not to panic. From my uncle, "Already on the road, gotta get my spot before anyone else." I smiled a little at that. I got ready slowly, pressed my gown, checked my hair too many times, put on a little more makeup than usual, and stared into the mirror, trying to see myself as a graduate, like that word alone could fix everything. When I stepped outside, campus was buzzing. Everywhere I looked, students in caps and gowns were taking photos with their families. Parents adjusting caps, siblings making faces, grandparents holding flowers. I walked through all of it, clutching my phone like it was a lifeline. They'll be here, I kept telling myself. Of course they'll be here. At the staging area, I looked around, heart pounding. That's when I saw him, standing near the bleachers with his camera already out, scanning everything like a hunter looking for his next shot. "Hey!" I called. He turned and his whole face lit up. "There she is, ladies and gentlemen," he said, immediately pointing the lens at me. "Our college star." "You're early," I said, trying to hide the fact that I was searching behind him for my parents. "Of course I'm early," he said. "Had to claim the best angle. This is the big day." "Are they with you?" I asked. "Did you see them in the lot? My mom texted hours ago. My dad said he was wearing a suit." He shifted his weight. "Nah, didn't see them yet," he said too quickly. "Parking's a nightmare. You know how your dad is with directions. Don't stress. By the time you walk across that stage, they'll be screaming your name. Go line up, Emma. Focus on you right now." I wanted more answers. I wanted him to say, "They're right behind me." But the line of students was moving and someone was hurrying us along. So I let myself believe him. The ceremony began. Speeches, applause, forced jokes from deans, nervous laughter from graduates who just wanted it to be their turn. My row finally stood. As we walked toward the stairs, I scanned the bleachers one more time, stretching my neck, searching for my parents' faces, for my brother's profile, for anything familiar. All I saw was the small glow of my uncle's camera screen. He had planted himself in a perfect spot, not too close, not too far. The lens was locked on me. The seats beside him? Empty. I tried to tell myself they were out of frame, that they were somewhere else in the hall, that I just couldn't see them yet. "Emma Carter," the announcer called. I walked. I took the steps to the stage. I shook the dean's hand. I smiled for the official photo. And then I turned, like everyone does in those moments, to look up at the stands. I had no one to wave at, just my uncle, the red recording light blinking at me like an eye. Walking back to my seat, something inside me folded in on itself. I sat down and tried to breathe, but every cheer for someone else's family cut into me like a tiny blade. "That's my baby," someone shouted behind me. "We're so proud of you," another voice cried from the upper level. I pressed my nails into my palm and focused on not crying. When it was finally over, caps flew into the air, people screamed, groups rushed into each other's arms, flowers, hugs, 1,000 selfies. I stayed where I was for a second, standing in the middle of the rows, feeling like the only person without a direction to go in. And then, like he'd been waiting for it, my uncle appeared in front of me again, camera up. "How does it feel?" he asked. "You did it! Look at you, Em!" He sounded happy. Too happy. I looked over his shoulder toward the main doors, praying I'd see my parents rushing in late, out of breath, apologizing. Nothing. My voice barely came out. "Where are they?" I asked. "Did something happen? Did you get a call?" He hesitated, only for a tiny second, but I saw it. "Look, it's complicated," he said. "We'll talk later, all right? Right now, just be proud. You made it. Let's get some words for the camera. This is powerful stuff." "There's nothing to film," I said. "They're not here." He tilted his head, watching my face like he was waiting for a breakdown. Inside, I think he wanted it. I don't know how else to explain the look in his eyes. "I told you," he said finally. "Doesn't matter who shows up, you still did it." He didn't understand that it did matter. Or maybe he understood too well and just didn't care. We went outside. He pulled me toward a stone wall and lifted the camera again. "All right," he said, slipping into his host tone. "Tell the camera how you feel. Be real. People like honesty." "Who's people?" I asked. He laughed. "Figure of speech. Come on, just talk." I stared into the lens, feeling like I was looking into a black hole. "I graduated," I said flatly. "Come on," he said. "Give it some energy." Something snapped. "Everyone I love is not here," I said, my voice rising. "My parents didn't come. My brother's not here. The only person who came was you, and you won't even tell me why they're not here." He froze. The camera didn't. I could hear it still recording. "Okay," he said, more careful now. "You're upset. I get it. We'll talk, just..." I turned and walked away. I didn't run. I didn't scream. I just walked back across campus, cap in my hand, gown rubbing against my legs. Behind me, I heard him call, "Emma, hey, wait, don't be dramatic." Don't be dramatic. As if I wasn't allowed to hurt on the day my own family was missing. He caught up with me at the edge of the parking lot, grabbed my arm lightly. Hey, he said. "Slow down. Your parents, they've got stuff going on. It's not about you. Look on the bright side. You still crossed that stage. No one can take that away." Right then, my phone buzzed. I pulled it out. A text from my mom. "I'm so sorry, Emma. We couldn't make it. We'll explain later. I love you." My stomach dropped. Another one from my dad. "Something came up. Proud of you, kiddo. We'll celebrate soon." Something came up. I shoved the phone back into my pocket like it burned. "They're not coming," I whispered. My uncle squeezed my arm. "Hey, it's not the end of the world. You're overthinking. Let me at least drive you home, okay? You shouldn't be alone today." His words sounded kind. I almost laughed. "Kind of late for that," I muttered. The drive back to my small apartment was quiet. He turned on the radio. I turned it off. I sat there gripping my cap so tightly my knuckles hurt. When we pulled up outside, he tried again. "Let's get some food," he said. "My treat. We'll make a night of it. You'll feel better." "No," I said. "I'm tired. I just want to sleep." He sighed, like I was being unreasonable. "Okay," he said. "I'll send you some of the footage later. You'll want something to post. Gotta let the world know you did it." "I don't want it," I said, opening the door. "You say that now," he called after me. I went upstairs, took off the gown, hung the diploma on the wall just so it wasn't lying around like trash, then turned off my phone. I didn't answer when my parents called that night. Their voicemails were short and careful. "Hey, honey, it's Mom. I'm so sorry. Call me when you're ready. I love you. Emma, it's Dad. I hate that we missed it. Let's talk soon, okay?" They sounded like they'd missed a school play, not the one moment I'd been working 4 years for. 2 days later, with my phone finally back on and my anger turning into a slow, heavy ache, I got a message from my uncle. A link. "Thought you'd want to see this," he wrote. "Turned out powerful." My chest tightened. I clicked. The video title hit me like a punch. "She graduated with 0 guess. You won't believe why." The thumbnail was a still of me on stage, looking up into the crowd, my smile fading. He had uploaded my humiliation for strangers. I hovered over the screen for a second, wanting to throw my phone at the wall. But curiosity, or maybe some twisted sense of duty to the younger version of me in that frame, made me press play. His voice came first, soft and emotional. "This is my niece, Emma," he said. "First in our family to finish college. Hard worker, quiet fighter. But on her big day, no one showed up. Not her mom, not her dad, not her brother, just me. Let's talk about what happens when people forget to show up for the ones they say they love. The video cut to clips of me walking across the stage alone. The camera zoomed in on my face, catching that exact second I realized the seats were empty. Then it cut to the scene outside, where I'd snapped. "Everyone I love is not here," I said on the video. "The only person who came was you." He'd laid sad, dramatic music underneath it. Slow piano, soft strings. He edited my pain like it was a movie. "Now, I'm not here to blame anyone," he continued in voiceover. "I'm just here to remind you. Don't be like my family. Don't miss the biggest day of your child's life, because someone else might be there for them instead." My hands shook. I scrolled down to the comments. "You're such a good uncle. She's lucky to have you. Her parents don't deserve her, but thank God she has you." This made me cry. People take family for granted. I shut off the video and stared at the ceiling. In that moment, I swore I'd never forgive my parents. They'd abandoned me, and now the whole internet knew it. He didn't ask my permission. He didn't warn me. He just sold my worst moment for views while painting himself as the only hero in my story. For almost a year, that was the version of the story I believed too. I didn't talk to my parents. I didn't talk to my uncle. I didn't even talk much to my brother. I threw myself into any work I could find. Coffee shop shifts, temp jobs, anything to avoid thinking too hard. Then one night, a random video recommendation changed everything. I was lying on my couch, half asleep, scrolling through my phone when I saw a familiar channel name. Real Life Moments with Daniel Carter, my uncle's channel. I hadn't been on it since the graduation video. I didn't want to give him my views, my attention, anything. But the title under the thumbnail caught me. He was the only guest at his daughter's birthday party. The thumbnail showed a sad little girl blowing out candles at a table covered in decorations, but no other kids, no adults, no guests, only the camera's eye on her. I tapped. His voice came on in that same soft, emotional tone. "This is my neighbor's daughter," he said. No one came to her party, no classmates, no family, just her dad. So I decided to be there too, to make sure someone made her feel special. The video looked exactly like mine. Slow zooms on her face, shots of empty chairs, melancholy music, his commentary. I went to his channel page. More videos. She got stood up at her school dance, so I took her instead. This single mom had no one at her son's game. The only person at her play was me. Different faces, same story. Always someone left behind. Always him with the camera. Always him stepping in like a hero. A chill ran down my spine. How did he keep finding these situations? How was he always there at the perfect sad moment? I watched another video. A teenage boy sitting alone on the bleachers after a game, jersey on, head down. "Everyone left," my uncle said in voiceover. "No friends, no family, no one to say, 'Good job, kid.' But I stayed." I paused it and rewound. Just before the video cut to a new angle, I heard the boy say something. "My mom texted, 'They're stuck in traffic.'" Cut. In another video, a woman at a kid's soccer game said, "My sister wanted to come, but her shift." Cut. He trimmed out every detail that didn't match his story. I sat there, my heart pounding. A memory rose up from somewhere deep inside me. I was 13, a science fair. My parents were late. I'd called my uncle, panicking, nearly crying on the phone. "They're going to miss it," I'd said. "Don't worry," he'd told me. "If they bail, I'll be there. We'll show them what they missed." At the time, I thought he meant he'd film my project to show my parents later. Now that line sounded different. "We'll show them." Who was we? Me and him? Or him and his audience? Over the next few days, I watched more of his videos than I'd like to admit. Not because I admired them, because I was looking for cracks. And I started to see them. Little things. People mentioning texts or calls from the very people his titles claimed had forgotten them. Bits of context he always cut away from. Details that pointed to something less dramatic, less absolute. He didn't just capture sad moments. He shaped them. Chose angles. Chose words. Chose what stayed. Chose what disappeared. The idea slowly crawled into my mind, one I didn't want to believe but couldn't push away. What if my graduation, the day no one showed up, wasn't just some awful accident? What if he helped it along? My brain tried to fight it. "No, that's too crazy. You're giving him too much power. He can't control where people go. I tried to let it go, but the seed was planted. And then my brother texted. One random Sunday, out of nowhere, a number I didn't recognize. Hey, it's Josh. Got your new number from Mom. Can we talk? I stared at it. All the old anger bubbled up. About what? I wrote back. His answer came a minute later. About graduation, and about Uncle Dan. It's been bothering me a long time. That single line flipped a switch inside me. We set up a video call for that night. When his face appeared on the screen, I barely recognized him at first. He looked older, more serious, but his eyes were the same. Before I could say anything, he spoke. I'm sorry, he blurted. I'm so sorry I wasn't there. I clenched my jaw. You had your reasons, I said. Something came up. That's what Dad told me. He frowned. What are you talking about? For graduation, I snapped. You said you'd try like crazy to make it. And then? Nothing. No explanation. Mom and Dad both sent one-line excuses. That's all I got. He just stared at me for a second. Then he let out a breath. He said quietly. I wasn't allowed to come. I blinked. What? I never got the date, he said. Not the final one. I kept asking Mom when it was. She kept saying the same thing, that you'd changed your mind, that you didn't want any of us there, that you didn't want a big scene. She said you wanted it to be just you and Uncle Dan. My whole body went numb. That's not true, I whispered. Why would I spend 4 years working myself sick and then decide I don't want my own family there? That's what I said, he replied. It didn't sound like you. I argued with Mom about it. She said she had proof. She forwarded me an email you sent. I just sent it to you. Check your inbox. I opened my laptop with shaking hands. There it was. An email forwarded from my brother. Subject: Graduation plans from Emma. The original sender: my email address. I clicked it. Hey, Mom and Dad, it began. My own name at the top, my own address. I've been thinking about graduation. I know you're busy and money is tight, and I don't want to make you feel guilty or stressed. I've decided I'd rather keep it small and not have you come. It's not a big deal. I'll have Uncle Daniel there to record it anyway, and we can all watch together later if you want. Please don't argue or try to change my mind. This is what I want. It sounded like me, the way I always tried to make everything easier for them, the way I always apologized for wanting anything, the way I always tried to remove guilt from the room. It sounded like me, but I had never written those words. I didn't send this, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I never sent this. On the screen, Josh nodded slowly. I know, he said. Or at least I felt like I knew. I didn't know how to prove it, but it's been sitting in the back of my mind, and something kept telling me to ask you. To actually ask you. Not Mom, not Uncle Dan, you. I looked more closely at the email, the timing, the date, the way it specifically mentioned my uncle recording. My brain replayed memories. How often I'd let him use my laptop when he said his phone data was out or his battery was dead. How he knew my passwords. How casual I'd been about all that. My stomach clenched. I checked my account's login activity. There, on that exact day, around the time the email was sent, there was a login from my parents' town. A computer that wasn't mine. I took a screenshot. Who was with Mom when she opened this? I asked. Josh rubbed his forehead. She said Uncle Dan helped her find it. Said he was the one who suggested checking her email in case you'd written. I hung up with my brother and called my mom right away. She answered almost immediately, like she'd been holding the phone. Emma, she said, her voice breaking. Oh, thank God, Why weren't you at my graduation? I interrupted. Don't say something came up. I want the real reason, word for word, right now. There was a long pause. We didn't come because you asked us not to, she said finally. You said you wanted it small. You said you didn't want to make us feel guilty or put us under pressure. I cried when I read that email, Emma, but I respected it. Your father said we had to honor your wishes. I never wrote that email, I said. Mom, I checked. That message came from my account, but not from my computer. Not from my city. Someone used my login from your town. Who was with you when you opened it? She was quiet. Your uncle was here, she admitted. He showed me how to open my email on the computer. He said, Maybe she changed something. Let's see if she sent details. And when we saw that, I almost called you. I wanted to, but he kept saying, if this is what she wants, you'll just make her feel worse if you show up anyway. I closed my eyes. Of course he was there. Of course he was the one pointing her straight to that message. Have you seen the video? I asked. What video? She said. My throat tightened. The one he posted of my graduation, I said. The one titled, She Graduated with Zero Guests. You won't believe why. The one that makes you and Dad look like you didn't care at all. Her breath hitched. He posted that? She whispered. Without asking you? Yes, I said. Without asking me. Without telling you. Without apparently even telling you why you weren't there in the first place. There was a soft sound on her end. A sob she tried to muffle. He told us he was supporting you, she said. He told us you didn't want us there. He told us he was the only one you trusted. I felt guilty for months, Emma. I walked around feeling like I'd let you down in the worst way. I had no idea he twisted it like that. We talked for hours that night. All the little pieces we'd each been holding separately finally came together. Old memories looked different now. The time my parents showed up late to my 8th grade recital, they always said they got the time wrong. I'd believed it was yet another careless mistake on their part. But that night, my mom said, Your uncle texted us the wrong time, Emma. We didn't realize until we got there and you were already on stage. He had his camera out. He said, Look how sad she is. You really messed this up. I was so ashamed. The time my dad missed my championship game, saying work called him in last minute. Turns out my dad had planned to come, but my uncle told him the game was canceled. Little mix-ups, wrong times, wrong places, always with the same result. Me alone, disappointed, him appearing with the camera, him comforting me, him shaking his head and saying, You deserve better. And later, him editing those moments into neat stories about how he showed up when no one else did. I realized then that my graduation day wasn't some tragic accident. It was his masterpiece. He'd been training for it for years. That thought didn't just hurt. It lit something inside me. Anger. Not wild, reckless anger. Cold anger. Sharp. He had built a whole identity on being the hero in other people's sadness, and he had stolen my biggest day to feed that image. I wasn't going to let that stand. But I also knew something else. If I confronted him with just my words, he'd twist them. That's what he did best. He didn't just control events. He controlled the story. So I decided to do what he always did. I would record. Not for strangers. Not for money. For evidence. For truth. First, I collected proof. Screenshots of the login history on my email. Messages from my brother where my mom had forwarded that fake message. My mom's phone records showing how long she was on the phone with my uncle the day the email arrived. Old texts where he'd joked about me being alone a lot. I watched his videos again with new eyes and recorded the moments he accidentally exposed himself. Little slips. Cut off lines where someone mentioned a text or call that didn't fit his no one showed up angle. I stitched them together in a folder. Then I called my dad and told him everything. He was quiet for a long time. Finally, he said, I lent that man money for 20 years. I thought I was helping him out of bad luck. I had no idea I was helping him climb on top of us. I'll be there, Emma, whenever you want, wherever you want. I'm done looking away. So I set the stage. I invited my mom. I asked my dad. I set up a video call with my brother so he could watch. Then I called my uncle. I made my voice sound lighter than I felt. Hey, I said, it's been a while. Look who finally remembered her old uncle. He joked. How's my famous graduate? Our video is still getting views, you know. I swallowed my disgust. I know, I lied. I actually rewatched it. I think I overreacted before. I wanted to talk, in person, maybe even film something new, like an update video. You could hear his excitement crackle through the line. I've been waiting for you to say that, he said. Your story really touched people, Em. We could totally do a follow-up. The after chapter. Full circle. I thought we could watch some of your stuff together, I added. With Mom and Dad, too. Let them see the work you've been doing. Maybe we can clear the air. He hesitated just for a second. You sure that's smart? He said. Your folks might not like being, indirectly called out. That's okay, I said. Maybe they need to see it. His ego won. All right, he said. I'll bring my camera. We can capture this reunion. This is going to be beautiful. I hung up and looked around my little living room. For once, the person setting up a scene wasn't him. It was me. On the day of the reunion, my apartment felt charged with something heavy. I moved the furniture so the couch and a couple of chairs all faced the TV. I set my laptop underneath, connected with an HDMI cable. On the coffee table, I had snacks, drinks, and most importantly, a small webcam pointed back at us, its little light off for the moment. My dad arrived first, carrying a small, crumpled gift bag. "I know it's late," he said, handing it to me. "But congratulations, kiddo." Inside was a simple silver bracelet with a tiny charm shaped like a book and a diploma. My eyes stung. "Thanks, Dad," I said softly. "I really like it." My mom came next. She didn't say much at first. She just hugged me hard, her whole body shaking. "I'm so sorry," she kept whispering in my ear. "I thought I was respecting you. I thought I was doing the right thing. I'm so sorry." I squeezed her back. "We'll talk," I said. "We're talking now. That's what matters." We set my brother's phone up on the counter, propped against a jar so he could see the whole room. His face looked tiny, but focused. Then the buzzer rang again. I took a deep breath and opened the door. My uncle walked in with his camera bag slung over his shoulder, his usual wide, charming smile plastered on his face. "Wow," he said. "Whole family, huh? This is nice. Cozy little screening room." He gave my mom a quick hug and clapped my dad on the shoulder. They were polite, stiff. He didn't seem to notice. "Got everything set up?" he asked, nodding at the laptop and TV. "You ready for the premiere, Em?" "Yeah," I said. "Let's sit." We arranged ourselves. My parents and I on the couch. My uncle in the chair directly facing the TV, the best seat in the house. My brother watched from the phone screen. I waited until everyone settled. Then I turned on the small webcam and set it to record us quietly. The light was so tiny, it just looked like another little reflection in the room. My uncle didn't notice. "I want to start with something simple," I said, picking up the wireless mouse. "Do you recognize this?" I clicked. The email appeared on the TV. Huge. Impossible to ignore. The fake graduation plans message. My name, my address, my supposed words telling my parents to stay home. My uncle stared at the screen. "That's the email you sent your folks," he said, his tone cautious. "You know, the one—" "I didn't send it," I said calmly. "I checked. That login came from this town, from my parents' place. Not from me, not from my laptop. So I'll ask you again. Do you recognize this?" He shifted in his chair. "Memory's a funny thing," he said with a little laugh. "You told me you didn't want to make a big deal out of graduation. We even talked about it. You said your parents were stressed. I just helped you put the words together. You probably forgot pressing send." "I don't forget telling my parents not to come to my graduation," I said. My voice stayed even, but my heart was pounding. "I might forget where I put my keys. Not that." He shrugged. Either way, they made their choice. "No," my mom cut in, her voice shaking. "We made our choice based on that email. We were heartbroken, but we thought we were respecting her. You were there, Daniel. You were the one telling us not to push. You said, if that's what she wants, don't ruin it." My dad's jaw was clenched. "You sat at my kitchen table and looked me in the face," he said, "and told me my daughter didn't want me at her graduation. I believed you. I trusted you." My uncle spread his hands. "I didn't make you stay home," he said. "You're adults. You could have gone if you wanted." "But you lied about what I said," I replied. "You took my voice. You used my email. You stole my chance to have them there. And then—" I clicked again. The thumbnail of the graduation video appeared. "Then you did this." I hit play. The room filled with my own younger self, my stiff walk across the stage, that fragile smile, my wandering eyes. My mom's shoulders shook as we watched. My dad stared straight ahead, eyes dark, arms folded. My uncle watched too, and for the first time, there was no pride on his face, just discomfort. We watched the entire thing. His narration, his careful little lines, the soft music under my words. When it ended, the TV went black. The room was silent. "Did you ever send this to them?" I asked finally. "Did you ever show them what you did?" He cleared his throat. "They're not really online people," he said. I didn't want to stress them out. The video wasn't about them. It was about you, about kids like you. "Kids you made sure were alone," I said. so you'd have something powerful to upload. I clicked again. Short clips from his other videos played one after another. The birthday party girl, insisting softly that her classmates texted they might come late before his edit cut her off. The woman at the game starting to explain that her sister had been called into an extra shift. The girl at the restaurant mumbling that her friends had messaged her about car trouble. Each time, his edit sliced those parts away. Each time, the final version made it look like everyone had simply chosen not to show up. Each time, he stepped into frame as the only one who cared. "These are just edits," he said quickly. "You always cut stuff. That's how you make a story. People don't want the boring details." My dad turned to him. "These boring details are the truth," he said coldly. "You're not just telling stories, Dan. You're building them on other people's hurt, on purpose." I reached over and tapped the back of my laptop. The small webcam's light glowed faintly. "Oh, by the way," I said, meeting his eyes, "this is all being recorded, just like you taught me." He stared at the camera. For once, he looked truly surprised. "You're recording me?" he snapped. "Relax," I said softly. "It's just for memories. You'll thank me later." Those were his words. I watched them land on him. He looked around the room, maybe hoping someone would laugh. No one did. My mom wiped her eyes. "You hurt her," she said. "You hurt us." "For what? For strangers to clap for you in the comments?" He looked back at me, his face hardening. "So what now?" he said. "You gonna post this? Try to ruin me? You think that makes you better than me? You think your little revenge video will fix anything?" "I didn't say I was posting it," I replied. "This isn't for clicks. This is for us. For once, you don't get to control the story in this family. We needed to see the truth with our own eyes, with you in the room, with no edits, no music." My brother's voice came through the phone speaker. "If you ever film someone again without being honest about how you're going to use it," he said, "I'll send this recording to every sponsor, every platform, every person you work with. I'm serious." My uncle scoffed. "You're all being dramatic," he said. "I helped people. I gave attention to kids who didn't have anyone. So what if I had to, polish the story? That's content. That's life now. Everyone wants a narrative." "You didn't just polish it," I said. "You pushed people into place like props. You made sure I was alone. You lied to my parents. You stood in the hole that you dug between us, and you called yourself a hero." He stayed quiet. I took a breath. "I'm not going to shout," I said. "I'm not going to beg you to admit what you did. I already know. They know. That's enough for me. But here's what's going to happen now." I looked him straight in the eye. "You are not allowed to use my image, my name, or my story in any way without my written permission. Not in a title, not in a thumbnail, not in a little 'remember my niece' story. If you do, I will post what we recorded tonight. And I will talk to a lawyer. I've already had one appointment. I'm done being your character." My dad added, "Don't ask me for money again. Don't call me acting like my friend when what you want is my wallet." My mom shook her head. "And don't come to my house," she said. "Not for dinner, not for holidays, not until you admit what you did and actually get help. I don't mean a sad video with dramatic music. I mean real help from a real person in a room with no cameras." My uncle looked like he'd been slapped. "You're all turning on me," he said slowly. "After everything I've done for this family." I almost laughed. "Everything you've done to this family," I corrected. "We're not turning on you. We're finally facing you." He stood up suddenly. "I don't have to take this," he said. "You're confused. You're all ganging up on me. I won't stand here and be made into some kind of villain." "You already did that," I said quietly. "To yourself. On your own channel." He stayed there a moment longer, chest rising and falling, like he wanted to say one last powerful line to salvage the scene. No one gave it to him. He walked to the door, grabbed his bag, and left with a strange, small click behind him as it shut. No dramatic exit, no shouting in the hall, just gone. The room was quiet. I turned off the webcam. My mom let out a shaky breath. My dad rubbed his temples. My brother sighed on the other end of the line. "Now what?" I asked, half to myself. "Now," my dad said. "We move on without him running the show." Over the next weeks and months, that's exactly what we tried to do. We argued, we cried, we told each other things we should have said years before. The truth was messy. Sometimes we yelled, sometimes we walked away and came back the next day. but at least it was ours. I told them how lonely it had felt all those times I looked into the crowd and saw no one. They told me how guilty they'd felt, how they'd believed I didn't want them, how my uncle had been in their ears for years, saying things like, "She's independent. Kids these days don't need their parents at everything. Don't smother her." We had to rip up a script that had been running in the background for a long time, but we did. Slowly, we started building new memories. Small ones, normal ones, dinner together without cameras, walks in the park, occasional visits where no one was secretly recording or turning the moment into a lesson for strangers. As for my uncle's channel, I checked it a few times. The tone changed. The big dramatic forgotten stories slowed down, then stopped. He started posting vague advice videos instead. He didn't look as comfortable. The comments were lower. The views too. I never sent that recording to his viewers. I never exposed him to the internet the way he'd exposed me. I wanted to. I imagined it. But in the end, I realized doing that would make me too much like him, using real hurt as entertainment. My revenge wasn't destroying his channel. It was stepping out of his shadow. It was proving that he was wrong about me, about my family, about what I wanted. One day, I sat in front of my own camera, a cheap one. No fancy lights, just me and a quiet room. I hit record, and I told my story. Not as a sob story with sad piano, not as a takedown, as a warning. I talked about the graduation with 0 guests, about how loud that emptiness had felt, about the anger I'd aimed at the wrong people for so long, about how easy it is for one person with a camera and a strong opinion to twist what you believe about yourself and the people you love. I didn't say his name. I didn't show his face. I didn't need to. The story was about me, about how I took back my own life from someone who had decided it made better content when I was sad and alone. The video didn't blow up, no crazy numbers, a few thousand views at most, but the comments I got were real. People wrote things like, "It hit me when you said you believed the worst because someone kept feeding it to you," or "I cut off my dad for years over something my aunt lied about. This made me want to call him." Or, "Thank you for saying a camera doesn't make something true." That was enough. Because the real point wasn't who watched it online. The real point was my mom, my dad, my brother. The ones sitting on the couch with me months later, watching my video together, this time fully invited. This time fully part of the story. My mom put her hand over mine and said, "I'm proud of you." My dad nodded. "You told the truth," he said. "You didn't sugarcoat us, but you didn't humiliate us either. That's strength." My brother just smiled into the phone. "You really are the first in the family to do it right," he said. Sometimes people ask if I've forgiven my uncle. I don't have a clean answer. I don't lie awake wishing bad things for him. I don't spend my days checking his views. I don't plan to hurt him. But trust, that's gone. And I'm okay with that. Because what I learned from him and from that graduation with 0 guests is this. Being hurt is one thing. Letting someone else tell you what that hurt means is another. He wanted to be the one who decided what my pain stood for. He wanted to be the narrator of my life, the hero of every sad chapter. My revenge was simple. I stopped being his story. I picked up the threads of my own life, sat down with the people who matter most, and rewrote what really happened. No music, no edits, just the truth, raw and sometimes ugly. You don't need 1,000,000 views to make that powerful. You just need to stop letting someone else hold the camera on your life and tell you what you're seeing. If you've ever felt like you were living inside someone else's story, someone who twists things, who loves it when you're sad, who only really shows up when you're at your worst, I hope you hear this clearly. You are not their content. You are not their character. You get to decide what your worst day means. My graduation with 0 guests looked like the loneliest day of my life. Now I see it differently. It was the day the lies finally ran out of room. The day the performance got so loud that it exposed the director. The day I stepped out of his frame and into my own. And once I did that, the story truly became mine.